Hello students, welcome once again to Information and Technology. In the last class we have started with the structured query language. In this lecture, that is lecture number 14, we'll move to the part number 2 of the same, that is structured query language. Move forward to the various other codings and other constraints of SQL. This is the second part of the previous lecture. So if you haven't watched that particular lecture, then you go back and watch it and then come here. In the previous lecture we have covered two constraints, that is the not null constraint and the default constraint. In this we will see the check constraint, second key constraint, and the third referential integrity constraint. Already we had covered not null constraint in part 1 and default constraint in part 1 of the lecture number 13. So here we will start with check constraint, key constraint, and referential integrity constraint. Now let us go to check constraint. Look at this particular table. Here we are creating a table for the teacher. Database is same database, the school database, and in that school database we are creating table for a teacher. The teacher is having ID, first name which is not null, last name, gender, salary, it is default as 40,000, date of birth, department number, it's integer, and you can see there is a constraint put there, check department number less than equal to 110. What does this mean? It means that the department number cannot exceed the value of 110. It should be either less than 110 or it should be equal to 110. You cannot put in a value that is greater than 110. So that is the meaning of check constraint. That is specification of a particular range for a particular attribute. That's it in check constraint. Now the next constraint after the check is the key constraint. As you know, there are various keys in RDBMS. So whenever there is a key constraint, we are talking about the primary key. Okay, so what is a primary key? We have already understood what is a primary key. That is, it is a unique value and the value of a primary key cannot be a null value. So taking the same table, create the table teacher. Here the ID of the teacher, that is the primary key for the teacher. So each and every teacher will have his or her own unique ID, and that will be common for that particular teacher only. It cannot be the same for other teachers, means it will be a unique value and it will be given by the organization, that is by the school. So this is a fixed value and it is unique, and also it cannot be a null value. Whenever this table is created and when the value is inserted, that is whenever the data entry is done for every teacher of that particular organization into this table, then the teacher ID is a compulsory field and it has to be mentioned. The first name we have set it as not null, so here both the teacher ID as well as the first name is the compulsory field. The last name, gender, salary by default it is 40,000, so the database will by default take it as 40,000. Date of birth, department number, this can be null values, but the teacher ID and first name will not be null value. See the table here. As soon as you see here, field type null key default extra, so you can see here null. So when already you have mentioned that the first name cannot be a null value in the previous lecture, you have already done it. So the first name we have already mentioned that it cannot be a null value. In this particular table, what we have done is that we have set a primary key, that is a key constraint, and the primary key has been set to the teacher's ID. So the teacher's ID cannot be a null value now. Okay, when we were talking about it in the previous lecture, there you can see that the teacher ID, beside that in the null column it was written yes, because there were no key present at that time. But now I have mentioned here the primary key, so the null value, the null column, it has become no. So you have to specify a value for the teacher ID whenever the value is inserted for the table teacher. Now coming to the next constraint, after the key constraint comes the referential integrity constraint. The referential integrity constraint works on the concept of the foreign key. For that, let us take this particular code. So for foreign key, as you know that you require two tables in the database, so that one table, the one attribute can reference to the one attribute of the other table. So here we are taking two tables. First table is the department table. So in department table the attributes are department ID and the department name. Okay, department ID can be an integer number, any number, 101, 102, anything. Department name, we are working for teachers, so the department name can be science, physics, okay, maths, any department it can be. Then the second teacher table is there, so we are creating a table for the teacher. Same table is there. Okay, the integer is teacher ID, that is the primary key. In the key constraint we have seen it. Then first name we have set it as not null. Then last name, gender, salary, by default 40,000, date of birth, and department number. Now comes the foreign key. The foreign key is the department number of this table that reference to the department ID of the department table, that is the first table. So this is the way to write the code. Foreign key of this particular table teacher, that is department number. Okay, foreign key department number of this particular table teacher references department bracket department ID. Okay, so the first department number is of the table teacher and the second department ID is the of the table department, the first table that is mentioned above. Okay, so this is the way to write it. So these this referential integrity constraint is based on the concept of foreign key. So there are a few more concepts to be studied in this referential integrity constraint, so let us move forward to that. But before that, let us see here how it is working. As soon as you write that code, you can see the key. In the key you can see the first one was the primary key, and below that you can see MUL is written. So that is the foreign key for the teacher table, and there the null value is there, it is given there yes. So you should keep in mind that the primary key cannot be a null value. You can see at the top the primary key, it is written there no in teacher's ID, but in case of department number, that is the key is MUL, it is written, that is a foreign key, and the value can be a null value. So for foreign key the value can be a null value, but for primary key the value can't be a null value for that particular table teacher. Now the next thing that we have to keep in mind is that we can specify the action to be taken. So we have mentioned the foreign key also for a particular relation and the primary key also. Now suppose we are changing the attribute values of the primary key and the foreign key of the table, then that might result in the violation of referential integrity constraint. Okay, so for example, suppose in the second table, suppose we are changing the value of the foreign key, then that might change affect the first table. Okay, that is the referential integrity constraint might get violated. So for that there are some commands that are used so that the referential integrity constraint does not get violated. So there are two commands: the on delete, on update command. Now on delete and on update command are used to take some particular actions. So what are the actions that are performed using these two commands? The first action is to set the value to null, that is set null. The second is cascade, and the third is restrict. Okay, so for the purpose of the referential integrity constraint not to get violated, we are having two commands: on delete and on update. So there are three actions that can be performed: set null, cascade, and restrict. So let us see the first one, that is set null. So for that let us take this table, go create the table teacher, same table I am taking. Okay, just come to the third last line. There the code is written: foreign key, department number, references, department ID, on delete set null, on update set null. There is one more table. You should keep in mind that two tables should be there for the foreign keys. So department table, I have not mentioned the coding for department table, already we have seen that table previously. So here you can see the foreign key department number of this particular table, references department ID, on delete it should be set null, on update also we are using the action as set null. Now what does this mean? It means that if a department with a given value of department ID is deleted in the department table, means the table that is the department, the name of the table is department. If any value of department ID is deleted, then the corresponding tuples that contains the deleted value for the department number attribute in this teacher table will be set to null. Similarly, if the department ID value is updated, then also the corresponding attribute in teachers table will be set to null. Means as the foreign key we have put it to be referencing to the department ID of the department table. So if we are changing any department ID in the department table, then all the tuples of that particular ID that has been updated has to be set to null in this particular teacher table. Okay, and also if I am deleting there, then also the tuples should be set to null in this particular teacher table. So that is the meaning of this action, that is set to null, using that particular command of update and delete. Okay, now coming to the next, the same command is used, that is delete and update, but the action here to be performed is cascade. In the previous one, what we were doing was setting it to not null. Here we are cascading. See, the same table is there, same coding. Third last line, foreign key department number references department of department ID. On delete you have to cascade, and also on update you have to cascade. Now what does this mean? It means that in the above table, if a department with a given value of the department ID attribute in the department table is deleted, then the corresponding rows in the teacher table will also be deleted. However, if the department ID value is updated, then the corresponding value is also reflected in the teachers table. Now what is the difference in the not null and in this cascade? In not null, what was happening was, when we were deleting any particular department ID from the department table, then that particular row in the teacher table was set to not null. It was not deleted, it was being set to not null values. All the tuples were set to not null. Also, when we were updating any department ID in the department table, the tuples related to that in this teacher table were also set to not null. Okay, but in this case what is happening is that if you are changing the department ID in the first table, that is department table, then the corresponding tuples of that department ID in this teacher table will be deleted. Okay, that total row will be deleted. Also, if you are updating the department ID in that particular department table, then the corresponding values has to be reflected in this teachers table also. If you are updating any department ID value there, then you have to, then that should be reflected in this teacher table also. Okay, suppose 102 has been changed to 110, so here also in this particular teacher table also that becomes 110, so that will be updated. But in case of not null, what was happening, if 102 department ID changed to 110, here it will become 102 becomes null value. That's it. So that was the difference between these two actions performed. Now the last action that is performed using the two commands, that is delete and update, is the restrict action. Now what do you mean by this restrict action? It means that restrict operation, or what it will do is that it will reject the delete or updation operation for the referenced table when, if there are one or more related foreign key values in a referencing table. Okay, if suppose there are any one or more values in this particular teacher table, then it won't allow a delete or update option on the reference table. That is, you cannot delete or update a department if there are teachers who belong to that particular department in this teacher table. Okay, so if you use this restrict action, it means that if there are any particular values of teachers for that particular department ID, then that department ID cannot be updated or it cannot be deleted in the department table of the department table. From there you cannot delete that particular department ID where the values are present of teachers in this table. Okay, in this reference table. Then Other thing is self-referencing table. It means that a foreign key can also reference to the same table to another attribute. You see here a table is here, employee table. Employee table, employee ID, it is the primary key. Name is there, age, salary. Now manager ID is there. It is integer value. Now what is the foreign key here? Foreign key is the manager ID, that is referencing to the same table employee to which attribute? Employee ID. Why? What is the meaning of this? It means that the manager is also an employee of this particular organization. So the foreign key manager ID references to this employee table to which attribute? To the employee ID attribute. So these kind of tables are called as self-referencing table.